Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews. Come with you guys in my review for the final season of Succession. And just like that, Succession has now come to an end. Crazy to think about, right? And even going into this season 4, I think it was just a few weeks ahead of the release of it, or maybe a couple months, that we learned that it was indeed the final season. And a lot of articles out there that I read, at least, that said it's going to be 5 seasons, and there's going to be 2 more to come. So a bit of a surprise there. Now, after seeing the season, I think we can all kind of, share our thoughts or kind of speculate on why they ended it this early. I think a lot of people agree, maybe a good decision, kind of where the series was going, and obviously with what they decided to do very early on in this season, probably made a lot of sense. So, anyways, love to hear your guys' thoughts on this season. This will be spoilers, basically only spoilers that I'll be talking about. So if you haven't seen the season, obviously, please come back once you have. But love to hear your guys' thoughts of the season. And feel free to, have spoilers in there. Just gave a warning, so feel free. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on the ending as well, the finale, which I'll talk a lot about in this one for sure. I have some mixed feelings on it, so I'll definitely share some of those. And love to discuss with you guys. And if you enjoyed this review, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel as well. Would really appreciate that. But without any further ado, let's get into it. So I just have a few kind of points here that I'll go over, and then I want to talk about the finale. And then I will also talk about Emmy Awards, because the just a few days ago, the Emmy Award or the nominations window closed May 31st. So now we have everything that is out or that was eligible for the Emmys has now been seen, has been broadcasted, and so thought that'd be kind of fun to kind of speculate and kind of throw my thoughts around on that one. And definitely looking forward to the Emmys once again, but they're a little whiles away. We'll get the nominations in July, and then the awards ceremony in September, so a few months away. But anyways, with all that being said, I want to start off talking about this season with the cast. Jeremy Strong, again, amazing. He won the Emmy for season 2, and season 3, obviously he was great, but I thought Brian Cox was actually the standout in terms of lead actor. I think they throw both of them in the ring for lead actor there, so he was great this season. I think him and Kieran Culkin, to me, and even Sarah Snook too, I think a lot of these actors had some of their best moments of the series in this season here. Again, I think Jeremy Strong's season 2 is better as a whole, but some of these moments, even in the finale, like that last scene, I'm the eldest boy, and some of those, moments throughout this season, and obviously all of their, performances in Connor's wedding, the Logan's death episode, just spectacular. So really wanted to recognize that. Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin, yeah, I think this is probably his best season, this or last season probably, and easily some of his best moments. I mean, obviously Logan's funeral scene with him doing the speech, I mean, that's got to be top tier for Kieran Culkin, right? Great stuff. And like I said, I'll get to the Emmys, as we go here and speculate, but I mean, I think he's got to win supporting actor this year, right? I think so. Or they might even put him in lead. I'm not sure what they're going to do, because he, to me, could have been in lead this season. But yeah, we'll have to see with him. But hopefully he's in supporting, and hopefully he can take that home. And that's just my opinion, kind of subjectively, not necessarily saying what the Emmys are going to do, right? So yeah, like I said, Sarah Snook, I think easily her best season, right? So many things to dive into here with her pregnancy, with Tom, with backstabbing her brothers, and of course the finale, last few moments. So just so much to go into here for Sarah Snook, and I think she really nailed it, really took advantage of this kind of opportunity. And obviously, her being pregnant in real life, which I'm sure is part of the reason why they had that plot line in this season, kind of hard to ignore, especially the way that they filmed her, right, and showing her her tummy and all that throughout, especially the later parts of the season. So for her to be pregnant and still, kind of put this performance in, thought that was really, really impressive stuff. Matthew McFadyen, I thought he was great this season again. Not his best season, though. Again, I think season 2, season 3, still great for him, but he was great. Nicholas Braun, great as always, as Greg. He didn't have as many moments to me this season, but still really great. And so I want to talk about Alexander Skarsgård too, because I've seen some people say that they didn't really like his performance and they thought it was like kind of a little off, right, at times. I thought it was just tough to pull off that character. So I think he did a good job, but it's just at times it's such a weird character, and that's really kind of the nature of how they wrote it. So I think it comes off weird at times, but I think Alexander Skarsgård actually did a really good job in it. It's just kind of the way that it was written. So I don't think it's his fault for some of the kind of more awkward moments in that. I think he was just basically doing, what he was directed to do, and definitely added a little bit of flavor to that where I think some other actors maybe wouldn't. So really great stuff. And Alan Ruck as Connor Roy, best season for him for sure. Some of the stuff with him and Logan, especially in that episode 2, I want to say, really great. Just really, really great. Kind of interaction between the two and that whole relationship. He kind of analyzing that or diving into that a little more. Really great stuff from Alan Ruck. And I really like to see him get some recognition. I think he's like the only one who hasn't gotten any Emmy consideration out of this kind of main cast, the main kind of 6 people or players here, with the kids, Logan and Greg, of course, being in there. So I really like Alan Ruck to get some recognition for this season in terms of the Emmys. Really great. So obviously, the main element to me that makes this show kind of stand out, and which was very much present in this season for sure, was this balance between the drama and the comedy. And this is something from the very jump, which, to be fair, though, I think around episode 4, 5, maybe, definitely episode 6 of season 1 was where they really nailed this. I think before that, it was just, they were just trying to find their footing and find the tone here and find that balance between the drama and the comedy, kind of which lane they were going for. But ever since then, it's been a pitch perfect balance here. And this season, though, I think it's kind of less comedic, really, right, than a lot of the other seasons for sure. Still many hilarious moments throughout. I would say even some of the funniest, moments of the series, definitely in this season. But on the whole, definitely less comedic, more kind of dramatic, more emotional, you could say. Obviously, the main culprit being Logan's death, right? At the center of it, or kind of at the core, especially for these kids, right? Really kind of makes it a more dramatic season, and obviously some of those episodes like Connor's wedding, Logan's funeral, I mean, these are episodes that we haven't really seen before. We haven't seen kind of that emotional gut punch, if you will, for kind of prolonged kind of segments or sequences like we did in those couple episodes. So really great, though. Like I said, some hilarious moments, and I want to get into some of those now. So these are kind of some of my favorite moments from the season. I like doing this when I'm reviewing seasons because I just have such a fun time looking back, right, throughout the season, throughout these episodes, and trying to pick out some moments that stand out to me. And a lot of the times, especially with comedies, right, they're like the best joke or the funniest bit, right? But with this show, I think we have a bit of a mix. And the first moment I thought for sure, the first one that came to mind when I kind of thought, looking back on some of these favorite moments, was definitely Logan and the kids scene in episode 2, the "You are not serious people," which has kind of become a iconic line, if you will, for this season. And just, I feel like a lot of people are kind of using that, to describe things in the season, especially with the finale as well, with the kids not being serious people, living up to Logan's kind of title here that he gives them. But yeah, this scene was just excellent. Any scene that Logan and the kids are in, especially in these last couple seasons, I mean, one that stood out last season was Kendall and him, that big kind of scene where Kendall asked to be bought out finally. in, I believe it was Chantyshire, right? Episode 8. Just an amazing scene, and these interactions so tense, and this one, definitely no exception. Really great, and of course, the ending, you are not serious people. Just an amazing ending to that scene for sure. And then the long take in episode 3 of these, of the kids reacting to Logan's condition, right? Tom phoning, I believe it's Roman, right? First, and, kind of notifying them, and they, have to then, Kendall and Roman have to find Shiv, and then they have to find Connor eventually, and, I did look into kind of the behind the scenes here. It was a long take in a lot of ways. They set up, I think, multiple cameras. It was Mark Mylod directing, and I think he described this in some interviews and that, right, how they did this with multiple cameras, how they were all filming at different times, and so that really was this long take of about 20 or 25 minutes or something like that. Now, I'm not sure if this was like the first attempt or however many attempts it took, but it seemingly was a long take, even though I guess it was technically edited because they had different camera angles. But anyways, the way it looked and the way it kind of played out on screen was just perfect. I mean, really great, really capturing that exact kind of reaction that you want. It's kind of this spontaneous thing, putting these actors in these positions of this long take, not being able to escape the moment, right? And just doing, a cut for 5 minutes and then, take a break for half an hour, come back, right? It's this, putting them in there, they're kind of immersed in this world, in this moment, and I think that really came through in their performances. So really kudos to Mark Mylod, I guess, if he was the one who kind of thought of that one, for sure. And I think he'll definitely be kind of in the conversation for a directing nom for that episode, because just really, really great stuff. Tom and Shiv's argument on the balcony, I think this was episode 7, I want to say, tailgate party this season. A really just heartbreaking scene, and something that was really building up. I do have some kind of mixed thoughts on Tom and Shiv throughout the season, which I'll get to. However, this scene, I think, was just so great. The dialogue, so great. It's just them saying whatever they can to hurt the other person the most, and really digging deep in their relationship and their history and bringing these things up to the surface. So really heartbreaking, but a really great scene and great performances from both of them. The ATN election coverage in episode 8, America Decides. To me, that's a 5 out of 5 episode. Absolutely loved every moment of that episode and just the whole election and how it plays out. Roman, call it, and he's, they're wanting to call it for Mencken, and of course they end up doing that at the end of the episode. Just the tension that comes along with that. Also the way that they kind of intertwined a lot of, kind of winks at the audience here for kind of real life events that happened, or kind of things that could have happened, that could be realistic. To our world. I thought it was just a really great way of doing that. So really great stuff for that kind of sequence. I guess that's not really a moment, but kind of the sequence in that episode for sure. Logan's funeral, obviously, like I already talked about. Roman's moment, just heartbreaking, right? Really emotional stuff there for Logan's funeral, and I thought that sequence was really great. A couple more here. The kids anointing Kendall in the finale. The meal for a king, right, scene where they're kind of putting all this stuff in the smoothie there, making Kendall drink it. I thought that was just a really kind of heartwarming moment a little bit, seeing the kids finally actually come together. Of course, that's really broken up within just like 5 or 10 minutes later in the finale, but I thought that was just a really great moment for the series. Seeing them together, seeing them kind of band behind Kendall in that scene, and in that sequence there in the finale, and them finally anointing him the king. So yeah, really like that moment. And then Tom and Greg. I would have been remiss if I didn't mention this, because this is one of my favorite moments of the finale. Was Tom finds out that Greg snitched, right, and told Shiv. I guess told Shiv, or did he told Kendall, and then Kendall tells Shiv in the finale, and that's kind of how things unravel. Tom finds out, asks Greg to, come to the bathroom with them. He hits Greg, but one of the biggest moments, to me, of the series for Greg here, right, is he hits Tom back. He slaps him right in the face. And just such a huge moment for Greg. You know, this is the first time that he's actually hit back, that he stood up for himself against Tom, against really anybody. And so I thought that was a big moment. Love that moment. Just a really kind of short scene there, about a minute long with them two, but just a really big moment for Greg's character in this one. So really great to see that in the finale. So with all that being said, let's get to the finale episode. So as a whole, this finale episode was great. I mean, this was just a phenomenal episode. The tension towards the last half hour of this, it's like an hour and a half episode as well. The tension towards the last half hour of this episode is just incredible. I mean, it's just really great. I mean, everything really has been leading up to this moment, to this time, especially in this season with the whole Matsson deal, right, being kind of brought in, reopened. This is it. This is kind of where it all ends, right? Because we know it's the final season, and thankfully, right? I mean, it would have been pretty shitty if, you know, we didn't know it was the final season and we're kind of going into these final moments, and then they kind of pull the rug out from under us, and this is how it ends. So that was definitely a good thing, definitely, you know, going into this finale and into those kind of last few sequences of it. So, all right. So having said that, overall, yes, the episode I thought was great, really phenomenal the way they did it. I do have some mixed feelings, though, about how it ended. I mean, like, literally the last, like, 5 or 10 minutes of screen time here, the ending of it. So, the decision that Shiv makes here, I don't like it. I don't like it, really. I don't mind... and I'll go over that in just a second here, kind of what I would have liked to see rather than what they did. And I wouldn't have minded the way that it played out. I wouldn't have minded it because it's fine, right? It is kind of this kind of twist at the very last minute where it kind of looks like everything is sealed. It looks like the kids are going to get it. It looks like Kendall's going to be, you know, anointed the king, but it falls through. And I would have been fine with that, right? I just don't really like the way they actually executed it with Shiv making this decision. So let me get into it a little bit. So first, I just want to talk about Shiv's decision and why I didn't like it. So to me, it just doesn't make sense for her motivations all season long, right, with Shiv. And what I mean by this is all season long, or at least from, you know, episode 4 or 5, right, when she, you know, kind of decides to, you know, be a traitor here, you know, kind of backstab her brothers and go with Matsson, right, and really kind of play that side of it, and go with him. So that was in her best interest, right? It's setting her up for her best future because really Roman and Kendall leave her on the sidelines. That's just the way it is. They are interim co-CEOs and she's on the outside. And so she sees this opportunity to go with Matsson and get the most power possible, you know, ends up working her way into the American CEO position. So basically she's going to be Kendall's position, right, for Matsson. And at this point, it's not the same as Tom because she actually would have quite a bit of power and would not just be this fall guy for Matsson, right? Because of their relationship, at least at the time, right? This is what we all think. So that makes sense because it really is her own kind of self-interest that she's acting in. She's really in it for herself. But this decision to vote for the Gojo deal going through actually gives her less power than it would have if she would have voted no and, you know, kept the company in the family. And she still then, even if it is kept in the family, yes, I completely understand the fact that, okay, yeah, Kendall would be CEO. She still wouldn't have much control. And the way things were going, Kendall probably would have, you know, cut Roman and her out very quickly or, you know, in the imminent future. However, she still had a board seat, though. At Waystar Royco, she still had a board seat. She still had say. And if really her and Roman were really unhappy with Kendall or he really did start doing a bad job, no confidence vote. Like, she literally would have the power to do that in the future. But with voting Gojo through, I mean, she really is just she's married to the guy who's now the CEO, but could be fired at any time. It really seems like it's kind of a temporary position for Tom. He's the fall guy. He's kind of the front man. So anything goes wrong, he's gone. And he's really just, a puppet for Matsson here at this point. And she's married to him. She has no board seat. She has no control of the company. Obviously, she has billions of dollars now from the buyout, and she still has some shares in it, but not anywhere close to the same amount of power that she would have had Kendall been the CEO and they kept it in the family. So to me, that just is not, it just doesn't make sense. It's not in her best self-interest to make this decision. Now, the only explanation then, because this doesn't make sense for her own self-interest, which was also echoed by Jesse Armstrong and Mark Mylod, I think they both kind of came out and said that it was this inevitable, right? It was this inevitability, this kind of innate feeling in her, or, some might argue kind of out of spite, that she just couldn't back Kendall, right? It was this inevitability. She just could not do it. Throughout the show, we've seen the evidence for it. She just couldn't do it. She just couldn't. She couldn't deep down be comfortable. She couldn't live with herself if she let Kendall do this and backed him. What a weak way to end a series. To me, I'm sorry. Like, if this is the only explanation and this sounds like this is what they were thinking, what Jesse Armstrong was thinking here, that's just really weak to me. To end a series on just the kind of this innate kind of instinctual kind of reaction of, oh no, but I can't do it. I can't back Kendall here. I don't know. I just can't do it. Or like some people said, out of spite, she just can't handle, giving Kendall a win. I don't know. I'm not on board with that ending. I just think it's a... Now, would have been fine if that's the way you end the season, right? And we come back for next season, for a season 5, that's the final season. But to end a series on such a pivotal moment like this, such a pivotal decision in the way things are going here, the way things end, to just end it on, oh, but it was just an instinctual thing. She just couldn't see Kendall win. I don't know. It's too weak to me for the standards that this show has set this whole way. It's too weak for me. So just not a huge fan of the way this ends. Now, like I said off the top, I think this could have ended in 2 ways. This is just all, of course, my opinion. Love to hear your guys' thoughts if you think differently, of course. And I know a lot of people do think different. A lot of people were pretty, on board or were okay with this. But so, like I said, I think things could have remained the same, and they could have lost the company. Gojo deal goes through. But I would have liked it to be because of the other board members, in spite of the kids being united. I really wanted to see the kids united here. I just feel like that was a really great way to end the series, to end this kind of whole arc that we've been on with the kids, following this story. I just would have liked them to be kind of united here, and it kind of be this surprise of, okay, even when they're united like this, and they're together, it looks like things are going to go well. Shiv votes no, Roman votes no, Kendall votes no, right? Everything kind of looks like it's in play. And then one of the board members, or just kind of the board collectively, says, no, this is a really good deal from a financial, business perspective. We don't really care. And the vote doesn't, the vote does, I keep getting mixed up, but the vote does go through. Gojo acquires them, and they lose it. So this, to me, and one of the main messages I took away from the finale, and I think this, message that Roman says, it is kind of like, I guess, kind of comedic in a way. I think some people saw it as that, and it for sure is kind of funny the way he phrased it. But the line, where he says, it's all bullshit, we're bullshit, it's all bullshit, right? That's what he's saying in the scene to Kendall. And I think that was one of the main messages here of this finale as a whole, and especially the way this last sequence plays out. Because, in this way, like I'm saying, if the board members decided, against the kids, they were united, but they still lost, and, Shiv votes with them, that it really does hammer home this message of that, yeah, the kids and their feelings about the company are ultimately kind of insignificant, right? The way that the business world thinks, the way the society that we live in, and especially the way that kind of Waystar Royco operates, and the way that it's viewed from the world, things will go on without them, right? Gojo acquires the company, and it'll just kind of go on as it is, right? Without the kids, and they really are not, they don't bring this kind of intrinsic value, that they think that they do, right? They kind of, they kind of think of themselves in the way that we have seen the show in their shoes is kind of them being important, them being at the center of it. But the reality is, and we've seen this a lot lately, especially with, the streaming services and all that stuff, just, Disney buying everything, with buying Fox, right? And a lot of that stuff recently, it's, these companies just get bought and things go on as usual, and the old CEOs get huge payouts or whatever, the families even that sell these companies, and they move on, right? And that's just kind of the way it works. And to me, this is just, like I said, it's just a great mirror of this kind of capitalist world we live in right now with these giant corporations like Waystar Royco. It's obviously kind of mirroring real life in that way. And I just felt like, okay, the kids are united. They want to keep it in the family, but ultimately it's just a good deal. The business world doesn't really care about them. They care about the money. That's just the way it is. And that's, like I said, the way we've seen in recent years. And it also kind of humanizes these characters in a way as well, and not making them kind of these big, kind of unrelatable or kind of these like gods, right, in the way that they see themselves in a lot of ways, right? It kind of humanizes them and puts them in this kind of position where they don't really matter that much. I mean, their dad built this company, he ran it, he's gone now, and they don't really mean that much. They really are just bullshit at the end of the day, and that's the way things played out. So I'm perfectly fine with the way it went. I just don't like that Shiv was the one who caused it the way she did. I just think it's a very weak way to end that for Shiv. So then the other thing I just wanted to touch on with the kind of way this ended is this was Kendall's throne for the taking. Can we just acknowledge that? Right? Can we just acknowledge that? Like, the whole series to me, especially with season 2, one of the best character arcs I've seen on TV, the way that plays out from the first moment we see Kendall in season 2 in the premiere and to the last moment we see him when we fade out in that finale where he's at the press conference burying his dad, finally becoming that killer that Logan wanted him to be or didn't think he could be, but, thought he might be, that kind of thing. And we see Logan smile as well at the end. So to me, this whole series has been this build up for Kendall, especially at that point in season 2, early season 3. I'm like, okay, this is where we're going. Kendall is ascending the throne. That's kind of what this series is all about. He is, ultimately our main character at the center here. And that's kind of what we're going to see in the long term. Now, this, of course, changed in season 3 when things kind of fizzled out for him, and it ends up that he just kind of was up, and then he went right back down the mountain to basically the very, rock bottom again at the end of season 3, which I was not, a huge fan of, but that's kind of the way it went. So since the very beginning, he's been on track. It kind of, like I said, fizzled out in season 3. Now, even with all of this and the pivot that they kind of did in season 3, or maybe that was the plan all along, I'm not sure why they would have did the arc in season 2 that way, if that's what they were going to do. I'm not sure, but we will retread that. So even with all of this, right, even with the fact that, he kind of went back down to rock bottom and he wasn't, kind of ascending the throne or kind of, heading up the mountain here, going to be taking out Logan in season 3, this whole arc was still salvageable in this finale up to the final moments of the episode. They really, this season, kind of set up Kendall again. They built him back up, and now with Logan gone, it really seemed like he was now finally, taking advantage of this opportunity, and this is kind of what they were going to build to. He was finally becoming his dad, developing that killer mentality, and we saw that at the end of this finale, right? He puts his, his feet up on Logan's desk, and he's kind of barking out orders and that stuff. So we saw it. I mean, you could see it, and he was just so, destined for this role. He even said in that one scene, Logan said that this would be his one day when he was 7 years old. So it was really this kind of inevitability, what we were building to, and what his whole life really has been about, right? For Kendall. Now, I want to stress this too. I mean, even though I wanted to see this, and I think this is what should have happened, it's not a good thing. Like, this is not a happy ending, I don't think, to the show, or for Kendall for that matter, because it's really like a tragedy, actually. It's a tragic end to the way this is, because it's this cycle, right, of him just becoming his father, when the whole show, I mean, we've seen what Logan did to them. We've seen the abuse, and Kendall many times throughout the show has mentioned this, and even said, he's a better guy, he's better than Logan, he's a good person. Logan was not a good person, and this is his view of him. Now, all this time we've been building to this, and it really is this tragedy, because now Kendall has become Logan. He's already talking about cutting the other siblings out of the company. He's saying he wants to, run it himself, right? Earlier in the season, he says that to Hugo. And so we already kind of see this dynamic playing out again. He is going to become the Logan in that dynamic with the kids. And this kind of whole cycle of abuse and the way that things have gone are just going to continue. And Kendall's ultimately, going to be the person, or the kind of man that he didn't like, what he saw in Logan, right? All those times. So to me, it's not a happy ending, right? It is kind of this tragedy, actually. And like I said, what really I think the whole show is building to. So in that way, yeah, I think it just made sense. This was his throne to have. And to me, this, again, just makes Shiv's decision all the more confusing to me, and just a little weak overall, because to me, this felt like really what we were building to the entire series, and for it to kind of fall out in the very last minute was just a little frustrating. Though again, I would have been fine with going the other way. I just would have liked it to be executed a little differently than the way they did it. But overall, like I said, great finale episode. Just not a huge fan of the final moments here and how we end off the series. All right, so in terms of some Emmy Awards speculation for the final season here, so as of when I'm doing this, the eligibility kind of period, right, for all the nominations for the Emmys has closed. That's May 31st. So the nominations can be expected in July, around there, right? First couple weeks of July. And then, of course, the ceremony, the actual show, will be in September. So we're a little bit of ways from that one for sure, and even a couple months away from the nominations. But with eligibility period now over, everything that is eligible that can be nominated is now out. So I do think that's kind of good timing now to do this, because we know kind of what the field may look like, outside of Succession, right? The kind of field around them. So yeah, I thought it was kind of an interesting time, or kind of a good time to do this. So really wanted to dig into this. So best drama. Am I off base saying that they have it locked up? I mean, I really think that they do. Obviously I'd love to see Better Call Saul win Best Drama. Obviously it's the, final few episodes, right? I think it's, it was a 13 episode season, so I think it was like 5 episodes. We had 8, 9, 10, and then 11, 12, 13. So 6, I guess, right? 6 episodes of Better Call Saul that are eligible for this, and that just doesn't seem like it's enough. So unfortunately, I just don't see Better Call Saul taking it. And with them out, I mean, Stranger Things season 4, I just don't see that happening. So yeah, I really think that they have Best Drama locked up. I just don't see who would challenge them. House of the Dragon, Again, don't really see that either. So, yeah, I think best drama, they got it locked up. I think it's definitely theirs to lose. Jesse Armstrong, is he going to be 4 for 4 for writing noms for this series? I think that's incredible. I think he really is the favorite once again to win. I wouldn't be surprised if it's for the finale or Connor's wedding. I think he's going to get nominated. Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure if he's going to get nominated for both. I think he could, but he's definitely, I think, going to be a strong contender to win for either one of them. He's won for all 3 finales so far, even in season 1, when the show didn't even win Best Drama, and it wasn't really considered, I don't think, as being one of those top contenders. He still won for Nobody Is Ever Missing. Of course, this is not for Tears. He won. They won everything that year. And All the Bells Say, and they won everything last year almost too. For season 3, right? So I really do think he's going to win again, which is absolutely insane for, like creator, the writer of a series to win 4 nominations. He's literally been nominated 4 times, and he's won 4 times if he wins this one. So just incredible stuff. Mark Mylod for directing. I think that would, I really think he's kind of a strong contender for that too. I think either, again, the finale or Connor's wedding, I think he would be a strong contender for either of them. I think he 100% gets a nomination, but I'm just not sure if a win is there, because that would be pretty insane, right? If they win Best Drama, Writing, and Directing. I don't know. I really would like to see Vince Gilligan have a chance at, or even Peter Gould have a chance at directing or writing for what they did in Saul. But anyways, we'll have to see what they do and kind of trying to spread the wealth, right? Spread it around, or if they just go straight for everything Succession. I could see that too. Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin, and Sarah Snook could all win, I think, right? Like, Kieran Culkin, I think, is probably his best season. I think so. I think he definitely has some of his best moments, for sure, of the series in this season. I mean, Logan's funeral, just that sequence alone is amazing. And so if they put him in supporting actor, I think he's a real good shot at that. Sarah Snook, I mean, I think she has to win this one. This is just an amazing season from her. Definitely her best season of the show. Her, she'll be in supporting actress. I think they gotta give it to Sarah Snook. And then Jeremy Strong in lead. That one will be a little bit difficult, just because he's in that lead category. A lot of great nominees there for sure. So we'll have to see for that one. But yeah, I think he definitely could win once again. And just nominations all around, right? I think that just goes without saying. Of course, Nicholas Braun, Matthew Macfadyen are going to get in there. Brian Cox, I'm a little curious on. I'm not sure if they'll put him in lead. Maybe they'll put him in supporting. I'm not sure if he qualifies for guest because he was only in 3 episodes, but I guess he did make appearances in other episodes, so maybe that disqualifies him from that. So maybe put him in supporting. I'm not sure, but I think he still probably gets nominated wherever he does go. Maybe just not in lead if they're going to continue putting him in there. But yeah, I mean, J. Smith Cameron, I think she kind of took a step down this season, but maybe you can see her there in supporting actress. I really want to see Alan Ruck playing Connor Roy. I really want to see him in supporting actor as well. But yeah, we'll have to see. And then, of course, all the tech stuff. They'll get kind of showered in nominations and hopefully some awards in those departments too. So, yeah, that's what I see in terms of Emmy Awards for Succession. I think it's going to be a huge year. It's also the last season of the show. That is a massive aspect to consider when you look at the Emmys. That's just the history, how they've gone. All these big kind of prestige shows in their final season, that is usually when they go off and they basically win everything that that they are nominated for, that they have a chance in. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on as well. So yeah, really expecting big things for Succession in this Emmy Award season. So yeah, definitely looking forward to the Emmy Awards there later this year. So anyways, with all that being said, that'll just about do it then for my thoughts on Season 4 and a little bit more than that, talking about awards and all that stuff. So love to hear your guys' thoughts, as I said off the top, on this season. all, what you thought of the finale, the Emmy Awards, all this stuff. Where would you rank Succession all time, all that kind of thing, or all that kind of stuff. So yeah, love to hear from you guys. But again, thank you guys so much for watching this one. And we'll see you then next for my Yellow Jacket Season 2 review. Looking forward to putting that together for the second season there of that one. So really interesting times where both these big shows have now ended, and we look into the summertime. So anyways, once again, thank you guys so much for watching this one, and we'll see you then in my next review.